And we're live. Boom, hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Jay Kevo here with Leif Taylor, having our weekly conversation about all things health, wealth, relationships, happiness, and everything else in between that piques not only our interests but your interests. What are you all thinking about out there? So this is a collaborative, a cooperative effort for all those in our tribe and our family, just to have conversations that inspire and helps us to aspire to just doing better, just getting better inch by inch, brick by brick, as Leif sometimes says, building the wall brick by brick.
Oh
But
yeah.
today, Leif, I just wanted to kind of just start off the conversation talking about struggle. And, we titled the show Getting Comfortable with Struggle. And a few things that's kind of got me thinking about this, going in this direction, is just thinking about life in general. Well, first, just thinking about how just about every area of your life, you're going to have obstacles and you're going to have things that you're going to have to, like struggle through and meet resistance and learn how to grapple with and learn how to deal with in order to overcome and maybe move past and get better and grow. And
Yep.
so, just thinking about how, just thinking in my life and thinking about how if there's something that I've wanted to achieve, you will be met with resistance. And often the way life is set up is it's often akin to a video game to where if you want to go to the next level, you have to get past the boss, you have to get past the so many, levels and things, so many obstacles and hurdles in order to get to the next level. And just thinking about that, obstacles and struggles often act as a means to test you and qualify you for the next level and whatever it is you're choosing or wanting to achieve in your life. And you can think about anything in your life. Right now, I'm thinking about uh, physical. I'm thinking about getting healthy and getting my body in a place that I would like it to be physically. And I was just thinking about how in one particular session, it was a struggle just to get up, number one. And then once I got in there, I was doing the exercises that I hate and that I struggle with the most, i.e., squats
Oh yeah.
and dumbbell snatches. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you know anything about dumbbell snatches, where it's like a snatch, where you snatch it off the floor and you lift it up.
Yep.
Except you do it with a dumbbell, and it's snatch it off the floor, one movement all the way up, down.
Yep. Yep.
And it looks easy, but after about two times, my whole posterior chain was
You had
just,
the shakes. Did you
it
have
was
the
on
shakes?
fire. It was on, I was struggling, and in that, um, late got off in that struggle. I had to like still my mindset and gear things.
Sorry about that. That's
Oh,
my
you're on the other side
sensitive
now.
mouth. Yeah, my sensitive mouth.
But yeah, I was just talking about how in that I had to learn how to cultivate my mindset as far as stilling it up to move forward and do whatever it takes in order to get through the exercise and the reps that was demanded of me. And I had to take breaks. I had to cheat a little bit. Uh,
Bad
but
posture and all. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, towards the end, got a little bad posture and stuff in there, but I got through it and I achieved I achieved what I wanted to achieve out of that workout. And just thinking about that as far as struggling physically, and then also I was just I went to a wrestling meet last week and just looking at the nature of wrestling and how the whole nature of it is struggle,
Yep.
um, and
Literally.
and how in struggle, um, as long as you stay at it, you can create opportunities that you can capitalize on. And just think about how that relates to life. That if you stay in something long enough, if you struggle with something long enough, then you can create opportunities. You can create gaps or openings that you can capitalize on. So, Leif, just starting off, just those are a few things that kind of got me thinking about that. Looking at the nature and the state of the world that we live in, that if you don't have the mindset or cultivate a heart and gear yourself up, steel yourself up for struggle, then life will crush you without mercy. So it will. So just cultivating that could help you in a long way with whatever endeavor you choose to go to or go through in life.
Yeah, and so just to touch on that, so struggle can come in a variety of ways. Kevin talked about the physical, but also the mental. As you were talking, I was thinking about different ways people struggle, different ways adversity strengthens us, and adversity is not always physical adversity.
No,
Sometimes it's a lot of times is more mental than
mental.
anything, and not only just from the psychology of it, but also just from the standpoint of leveling up your skill set because you may be struggling with a subject, whether like in school, your subject English, math, those kinds of things, but also in life it could be finances, understanding finances. It could be understanding, the skill sets necessary for your job. So you struggle. That's why the apprenticeship is so important because you struggle with an advisor as opposed to solo by yourself. And a lot of times it's kind of the Mr. Miyagi way of doing things. Go ahead.
And then I was going to say that's one of the ways on how somebody can get through, a struggle or get through resistance or get through difficulty is having that Mr. Miyagi on the sidelines or that guru or that mentor or that coach or somebody who can help you get through the struggle.
Yep. And then also, it just makes me think about studying because so the other day, Chris Hudson and I, we were talking about like, do you have what it takes to do business? And we literally talked about this subject in a variety of ways of struggle, right? And so you have to become friends with adversity a lot of times in life. And that's not to say that you don't ever overcome, but really is more or less the mindset that if struggle comes or adversity comes, then you're so comfortable with it that it doesn't bother you, right? And that's really the gist of what we're talking about. Lamar and I, like our slogan was, see, where others see obstacles, we see opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be an obstacle, but it really depends on your vantage point, on your mindset, and how you approach that obstacle, how you approach that struggle, and what it does for you. A guy named Myron Golden, he says work does two things. It either works on you or it works for you, right? And so if you don't get the results that you want, then it means that the work is working on you. And then when you get the results that you want, then the work is working for you. So in other words, the things that you struggle with, the things that you're attempting to do, you're either learning it, going through the process of mastery, or you've mastered it and then you can expect some results at the end. But either way, it's going to work in your benefit if you keep at it, right? And so part of getting comfortable with struggle is consistency. Also, in consistency and mindset more than anything. A lot of times we think about is consistency in terms of doing reps, but a lot of times it's consistency in terms of the way you perceive it. Because if you have a rough job, it's going to stay rough every day until you change your mindset.
Man, I was going to say that the phrase that you and Lamar, used, that I was going to say that is one way in which you can reframe how you perceive struggle. And that exact phrase that you just said was something that I had at a previous job on that they told us to kind of say as a mantra to ourselves when it came to sales, being persistent and consistent, being persuasive, and it just changed how I viewed me doing my job at that particular time when they said that look at these as opportunities versus look at these as challenges, and it's like okay, so they taught us how to change problems into opportunities, and that's one of the things they say about business or anything or making money or whatever it is in life is that when you set yourself up to be a problem solver and see problems as opportunities, then that can open up a lot of doors for you in whatever endeavor that you choose to take on, or just living life in general. When you become I think it was Seth Godin talking about becoming a problem solver. Should be one of the goals of education is to be a problem solver, which he often talks about how the many ways in which our educational system is not serving us well. And he says that one of the main things we need to focus on is becoming problem solvers. And, throughout the years, I can understand that and I can see that just looking at situations I found myself in times past, is that the less I complained and the more I committed myself to being a part of the solution, the better off things often turned out for everybody involved and connected.
It also, one thing I would even add in terms of calling it becoming a problem solver, but turn into an opportunity taker, right? Because sometimes, again, going back to the psychology of the way we see things, if everything is seen as a problem, then it's like, oh man, woe was me. But if it's an opportunity, right? Because when you were talking about the school system, I'm like, okay, so if the school system is bad, then that means that there are plenty of opportunities to make it better.
Man,
right?
Yeah.
And so just changing the dynamics again of the psychology. And again, this is going back to what we're talking about, struggles.
Getting comfortable, struggle.
Getting comfortable with it. And even, it's kind of the way we worded it was on purpose, but even looking at struggles as new opportunities for you to level up your thinking, a new opportunity for you to level up opportunities for your life. Go ahead.
Thinking and also leveling up how you feel about a situation. Oftentimes when we have these conversations, I'm often thinking in terms of how you think and how you feel. And when you bring those two in alignment, that affects your behavior and how you act and show up. And the road. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Mario. What's up, bro? Yeah, thinking about how you think and how you feel, that affects and automatically how you behave, show up, and act in life.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and also real quick, if anybody has any, any comments they'd like to say, definitely throw them in there. Or dealing with struggles or how you overcome. Let us know. We're not the experts. We're just talking about the way we deal with things, information that we've read. So definitely, please chime in. We love your feedback and we love your energy.
Yeah, we're just having a community conversation about struggle today, and why it's important and essential to get comfortable with it. Even though I'm not sure if I ever really get comfortable or have gotten comfortable with struggle. I hate it no matter what. I feel its frustration, but I know regardless of how I feel about it, life is going to give it to you one way or the other. So just learning how to deal with it and suck it up and just go through some of these things, that can definitely go a long way. And some of the benefits of struggle and what it can lead to is it helps you as far as like growth. If you get comfortable with struggle, then it can help you as far as growth and reaching new heights and areas that you may have thought you would never get to or obtain in life. And in saying that, I'm thinking about something that somebody had told me in the past about where I would be in the future. And and I couldn't see myself there. But over these conversations that we've had, I often talk about the struggles of getting to where I'm at now, as far as something as simple as communication. Being able to communicate is a struggle and continues to be a struggle for me, which is why I keep putting myself in uncomfortable positions like doing live streams. No matter how many live streams I do, Leif, I never feel ready and I'm never really like fully comfortable. So I am in a continual state of often being uncomfortable whenever I do these live streams, but I know and understand that it is something that has to be done continually and consistently if being able to communicate is something of high value, something that's a high priority, or something that's important to me.
Yep.
And so, you know, yeah.
Real quick before we go on, Shauna said support is also crucial. Definitely.
Yeah.
It goes back to the C word that we talk about every show is community. Having support from community, and again, community could just be your immediate family, a friend, somebody you're in a relationship with, or it could be the larger community as a whole. That's definitely important. Like one of my mentors, he says, we all get by with a little help from our friends.
Yeah,
Shout out to John Allen. He says that all the time, but it's very true. Also, Ms. Cheryl said struggle can lead you to self-evaluation, which is also true. That's something that I know, like me, a lot of time my wife would tell you, like when things don't go according to plan in terms of whatever, like whether it be business dealings or other stuff, like I get upset because I like for things to get moving. I hate for things to get stagnant. But it does give me an opportunity to take a step back, like she talked about with self-evaluation, and just look at what are all the positives that are happening in this time of nothingness, right? In this time of waiting, in this time, you know. So it's like, okay, I get to work on my patience. Also, it sometimes it allows me to realize that the urgency that I have doesn't necessarily stop anything, right? It doesn't stop the flow of life, the flow of transactions or anything like that. And so it's like, okay, maybe I could just chill a little bit and relax, you know, so I don't have to take everything, like, 'cause I like to get stuff done. I just hate waiting on stuff to get done.
But life is so
life.
So
don't want you to, like when people don't work, when things don't happen at my pace, like it can be frustrating. But again, like I said, it gives me pause. It's like, okay, chill out, relax, breathe it in, and just let it be. So that's something that I work on a daily basis. I truthfully work on it, and I try not to get overtaken by frustrations. I usually get upset for like a little bit, and then it just leads me to more action. It's like, okay, if this is not happening, what can I do to speed this part up or to do something else? So it's like I just move it to the side and just start cranking on something else. But one thing you mentioned, though, going back to the public speaking, because people have said this to us in times past, like, why do you call yourself two shy guys? Like, I'm not a public speaker either. I don't like it necessarily. I appreciate the benefits that come with it, because when I first started off, like, I was like very uncomfortable, like extremely uncomfortable, to the point where, like, I know if Lamar was on here, he could attest. Like, I've had times where I was just like, I would just get stuck, right? Because I was just so worried, because we used to do like live presentations on stage and stuff like that. And so, but again, getting comfortable with struggle or being uncomfortable, so to speak, it allowed me to just chill and relax. Like, I just get relaxed. So now it doesn't bother me as much, no matter what the room is, no matter who's viewing or whatever. I'm just like, it is what it is. If I look stupid when the camera comes on, I'm just gonna look stupid the entire time the camera's on, and I just accept it. It's just
yeah, getting learning how to struggle can teach you and train you to help you settle into being uncomfortable and help you, settle into the anxiety of it.
Yep.
So that's one thing that learning how to struggle has taught me, as far as managing your emotions and teaching you to self-regulate. That, like Cheryl said, that with self-evaluation involves, looking at yourself and seeing what needs to be managed, what needs to be regulated. For example, I've had moments in times past where I freak out when it comes in public communicating settings, and it's like you just want to just cut it off and just drop and run out the room or whatever. So just learning how to settle in and self-regulate and just keep it moving, and just learning that life is serious, but it really isn't that serious, and just learning how to deal with that and manage your emotions. So that's another benefit of learning how to struggle. I was thinking about, again, I'm relating it to wrestling as one of my jump off points, and just looking at how in some positions you can, in some positions in wrestling, you could be very uncomfortable, and you can be in pain, and you have to learn how to settle that pain, be uncomfortable, and be able to think clearly and creatively in order to get out maneuver situations. You know, and for a lot of us, life can do it to us. Life can get us in some positions of pain.
Those headlocks, those rear naked chokes, all of that.
Life, why are you doing this to me, bro? You know, like, I got you, man, got you in the guillotine, you know, in the guillotine choke. And, you know, so life can do that to us in a lot of ways. And it's essential. It's important to make sure that, you know, having that community, having that coach, somebody in your corner, helping you out, like in Rocky, you know, getting you all fixed back up.
Come on, Rock.
Help you get through some of those struggles. So, you know, community, coaching, learning how to, you know, physically be prepared and mentally be prepared, and, you know, have your heart right.
Yeah.
These are some ways to help best position you for struggle.
Ms. Cheryl said you have to locate yourself: overeating, fearful, depressed, anxiety, health issues. Yeah,
man,
you gotta, like, so Kevin's using fight analogy. I always use fight analogies because
that's where your heart is.
Yeah, literally, that's where my heart is. And so one of the things that, like you said, just putting yourself in the struggle is really the beauty of taking a martial art of some sort, right? Because again, it just helps you get comfortable with those very uncomfortable situations. In wrestling, if somebody's on top of you, if they got you pinned in an awkward position, you gotta, one, deal with that pressure that they're constantly putting on you, and also mentally get yourself together to cope with the opposing force, so to speak, and also just dealing with pain, right? Dealing with pain is a big thing that we all have to deal with at some point in life. Physical, emotional, I don't know what else there is. Physical, emotional, because emotional is mental and those kinds of things. And so just dealing with that and how you embrace pain, right? Marines say embrace the suck. And that's really what it boils down to a lot of times. And the reason that I personally like martial arts is, one, it helps you push past your limitations, because, you know, if you're limited in defense, then you're gonna feel the results of that, right?
You're gonna use your face as a defense tactic.
Exactly, and your face doesn't make a good defense mechanism. So if you're limited in cardiovascular capacity, it'll make you deal with that, because let's see, who is it? One of the great coaches, he said, fatigue makes cowards of us all, because that is true. It's like, once you get tired, like, I don't care how tough you are, a kid could beat you up if you get exhausted, right? My wife says laughter. Yeah, having laughter and being able to laugh during those times is definitely important. But also, just dealing with hardships, it toughens you. As sad as it is sometimes in life, dealing with hardships, it toughens you in a variety of ways. And hardships, again, can come in a variety of ways. You know, we talk about business all the time because most people in life, they're working for somebody or they're working for themselves. But we're more we're working. Right? So we talk about that a lot. But also just from the standpoint of hardships, and whether it be through family,
losses,
losses, like, those things are really tough, like extremely tough, like, because that's the essence of what life is, right? But dealing with those things over time, like, if you learn how to cope with that, then it makes you more resilient. And not only that, but it helps you help other people, right? Because we're all teachers of one another. And so, you know, not that I wish that on anybody, but even the Bible talks about part of the fruit of the spirits is long suffering, right? And we're talking about struggle and suffering long. And so basically just adapting your body to deal with that, adapting your emotions to deal with the things that are happening. And then once you get to a point to where you get, quote unquote, comfortable in that, you no longer panic. You no longer do things that can jeopardize your life, because you're so resolved in knowing how to deal with these things as they come at you.
Man, learning how to keep panic at bay is definitely essential in today's world. And it was, as I'm talking, I'm thinking about some of the headlines that I've been often gleaned recently. And there's a lot of situations that we're in now and that's coming down the pike that we cannot afford to panic. Panic can lead to more pain. So learning how to pause in a panic can lead to peace. It can help you get to peace. Real quickly, Cheryl says that for me, I take steps to see what I longer do, which was a positive attribute. If I isolate myself, seek out trusted friend, family, and community.
Yep. Yeah, and that's very good to do, because sometimes like our initial reaction to things is to become isolated, right?
For a lot of us, yeah.
Yeah, and so like even practicing seeking help, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh man, it makes me seem weak and all it is. Well, chances are you are weak in that moment. We can't be strong all the time. It just doesn't work that way.
Even and that's a narrative.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's a narrative. Being strong all the time is something that I think many of us have dealt with or struggled with, especially in times past. Just looking at like the previous generations, it's like you gotta be strong. It's like no, that's not humanly possible. And just looking at some of the things that's manifested in your life, looking at some of the outcomes, it's quite apparent that being strong, trying to be strong all the time is not the best for us.
So laughter helps, and thankfully therapy is becoming popular. Yeah, that's true, because again, that's because my wife and I, Shauna's my wife, by the way. We've talked about like the rise in Black people specifically taking therapy, and it's mostly millennials. Because of the era that they raised in has become part of the theme in terms of talking about mental health and that kind of stuff. When I was growing up, wasn't none of that.
None of that. Yeah,
literally, it literally was none of that. It was just something the rich white people did, right? Where you saw on the television show. Go ahead.
So what do you think are some of the events in times past that has led up to this growth and this outpouring as far as people looking to therapy specifically, and how it's becoming more accepting? For example, I'm thinking about how in times past, it seems like you had like older family members around that acted as therapeutic outlets and kind of acted as counselors and stuff, versus today, it seems like that isn't quite so for a lot of us. And I'm just looking at myself and some of the people around me. It's like, wait a minute, the community that I grew up with is not something that is around for my kids and my generation. I'm just saying, like, okay, I can see why this is leading to a growth as far as.
So I don't personally, I don't know of any one event.
Right.
Yeah. So from a tech perspective, early on when we were pursuing different pursuits in technology, as far as owning being business owners, entrepreneurs, there was a rise then, like it was called the mindfulness movement, right?
Yeah.
And so the goal behind that mindfulness movement was to make therapy more accessible to the masses, right? And here's a tidbit that most people don't know. And my wife, we've talked about it before, and when I was working on medical apps, this was part of the conversation. But if any of you that are listening to this or know somebody that's dealing with a long-term, a chronic illness, therapy is free. Therapy is part of your insurance. So if you didn't know that, then you need to reach out. Actually, they should be offering this to you. If you have a chronic illness of any kind, they should, the doctor's office or whoever, your medical providers, they should be offering you free counseling. That's part of your medical providers. That's part of what they offer. So make sure that you take advantage of that, right? Also, I'll get to some of these questions before I go on and forget.
Okay. Well, Shauna says that number one, families don't gather as much, and Noble Daniel says the Great Leaf. And then Shamika Pearson says, "I got a therapist. I ran out of room to keep pushing things down. It
Yep.
has been helpful to learn that nothing is wrong with me. I was just trying to do impossible things sometimes. I wasn't really falling, just not seeing the full picture. Trying to do
Wasn't
it,
really
doing it
failing.
all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That's something that I think many of us, you know, deal with or have dealt with is trying to do it all and realizing that you do need outlets and you do need help, and suppressing it just makes it worse on you. That's something that I've learned over the years, is that part of the journey as far as communication is being able to express and let go and not suppress and keep things in, and not trying to do it all.
yeah, for true. See,
Shauna,
Shauna,
Shauna
go
says
ahead.
also mainstream celebrities such as Taraji Henson are talking about therapy to make it normal.
Yeah, and also just from the standpoint of taking it aside, from the standpoint of Black people in general, all the trauma that we've been through, and the fact that we know that trauma is literally passed down through DNA and these kinds of things, more than anybody else need therapy, like straight up. We have PTSD. Uh, is that right? No, PSD is for the child.
PTSD,
PTSD. Yeah. uh,
post
Excuse me
traumatic.
if I mess up a lot of acronyms because I'm in so many different industries. I get a
Hey,
ton
they
of them.
throw them all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So PTSD is a norm, especially children that grow up in violent, communities and things of that nature. And not only that, but just the past traumas and things that we constantly go through uh, that we have no outlet for. So one form of coping in terms of dealing with struggle in a mental capacity is going to the physical in terms of exercise. Exercise releases endorphins, dopamine releases. Not social media is dopamine. You don't want that kind of coping mechanism for because
What? Why is that?
because those things are actually almost like a caffeine in the sense that they give
Yeah,
you
that's what.
highs and low and super low crashes, right?
Yeah,
And so you
it gets
want to
you
make
addicted
sure
to it. It keeps you
exactly.
on that. It keeps you on that scroll down, endless scrolling
Yeah,
uh, dilemma. And I was thinking about that earlier, as far as struggle and coping and things. As far as like you said, you want to get hooked on things like exercise, real world things versus the endless scrolling.
yep.
Shauna says it's time to teach our children to talk it out. We are teaching our girls not to hold things in. Yeah, that reminds me of, I heard a statement that somebody said, as far
Hey,
as
Mercy.
say it now, say how you feel now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, don't keep that stuff in because actually the scriptures talk about that kind of stuff all the time. But it's really a matter of not letting that stuff cause what it calls it's quoted as a root of bitterness. Don't
yeah,
let a
yes.
root of bitterness set up, right? To where you hold something in and you become so bitter toward a person, toward just bitter period. So not having a mechanism to relieve that stress, to relieve that tension, to relieve that hurt and pain, those things are very harmful.
And I haven't thought about that in a long time. What you said about, as far as the root of bitterness, and
Bitterness.
how
Yep.
bitterness sets in the heart, and when it sets in the heart, it branches into a tree of all kinds of unfruitful,
Yeah.
toxic fruit.
Unproductive fruit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. As far as anger, hatred, you go down the list. That's what it leads. Unforgiveness. So not letting things settle in your heart and just expressing it and getting it out now. That can help.
Yep. What's going on, Mercy Thompson? Also, one of the things that I was thinking about in terms of the increase in therapy, and one of the factors that could be part of it. I don't know. Definitely do your research, but the fact that physical labor is diminishing as in whole as a society, right? Uh,
Yep.
I'm a tech person. I'm always on my computer. And so the things that help me physically relieve some stress and those kinds of things, we have to manufacture it. The fact that we have to go to a
To
gym
the gym.
means that we have to manufacture the exercise that we would normally get from plowing, from doing physical work and labor. And so that is also, I'm sure, a part of the rise in terms of the need for therapy and the need for new outlets.
Yeah, yeah. Just when you were talking, I was thinking about the metaverse. Miss Cheryl says it is no longer hidden or equated to shame. Also, faith-based ministries have increased in their skill sets in the counseling departments. Yeah, just talking about the increase as far as faith-based ministries and them becoming more capable and becoming more, familiar
More
with
educated.
more educated as far as counseling and dealing with the human condition.
Yeah.
Tamika says, sometimes you don't want to feel like a burden to family and friends who are also struggling. The therapist
Yep.
is there for it. Exercise was the first suggestion to see if your brain will correct itself, but the better or more proper chemical balance. Yeah, I can attest to that. That I noticed that when I don't stay regular as far as exercising and just getting out in nature and walking and stuff like that, that I can definitely notice a difference. And being physical, exercising definitely helps as far as the resetting you back to
Yep.
a state of balance and peace and clarity. Michelle says, yes, to exercising help release endorphins. I love manual labor in my garden. Yeah,
Yeah.
just having a garden is work, real work that connects you back to. I wanted to say, gardening is one of those things as far as getting outdoors, getting those endorphins going. It's one of those things that helps you connect back to love, I guess
Yep.
you could say.
And to nature. Yeah, my wife, she's been gardening heavy this past year, and she loves it. And you can even see the difference in just, she's always a pleasant person, but just her demeanor and the energy that she gets from being outside. And so she would, like, when it was warmer, obviously she would make the girls come outside and help her as well, just so they could just become a part of it.
Yeah. And like you said, that's one of the ways that can help you stay grounded and it can help you stay connected, anchored to real life, to the real world. That's one of the things about fighting and martial arts is you play video games all day. You see somebody, you watch movies all day. You see somebody take punches and give punches. I was watching the latest James Bond movie, and this dude, man, he's taking all kinds of punches. He's getting blown up. This dude is going through it. But you try to do it in real life, it ain't gonna happen.
No.
Not for Kevin.
No, not at all.
You throw one punch at me, just the first minion at the bottom of the first minion is gonna take Kevo out. Like, this stuff hurts, man. How y'all do this?
Like, he wasn't ready for the gauntlet. He stopped him. Was the henchman number one?
Yeah,
My wife,
henchman number one.
my wife and one of our daughters. So we have twin daughters, and one daughter is more outspoken than the other. And so she said she'd rather be outspoken than to not be heard.
Mm.
So that's something as well. And again, that's part of struggle, right? Going back to struggle is sometimes it toughens you up in ways that you normally wouldn't do yourself on your own. And that's the rough part of life, especially as being a parent. I know, like, you do talking about wrestling because you put your sons through it, but that's something you can kind of control. You can't control them for the struggles that are outside of your reach. And so becoming comfortable with that, preparing them for that struggle, preparing them for the hardships of the world in a variety of ways.
Yes.
Sometimes it's physical early, but then it's mental and the games that are played in a variety of ways. You have to, getting comfortable allows them to not panic and falter when those overwhelming situations start to come, right? So it's like they can get calm, they can get resolute in how to approach a given situation. And so this is why dealing with struggle is a good thing. And if you can manufacture that in a safe environment for your children and even yourself, that's why people practice. That's what practice is. You control the environment so that way you can deal with things so when they happen in real life, you're not taken by surprise on how to go about it. So
You're prepared.
practice, yes, exactly. So practice is a good way to deal with struggle. You can manufacture your own struggle. If you have problems with speaking in front of people, You can get in a mirror. You can record yourself on your phone. You don't have
You
to
can come on live with us.
Exactly. You can come on. You can jump in the water wholesale. There's all kinds of ways that you can practice to manufacture those things that you may struggle with, right? And so it's always a good thing. Like myself, like I call myself a motor axon. I'm all or nothing. So if I try to, I'm gonna try it all. Like I remember when I started doing swimming lessons, they was like, hey, okay, we're gonna jump into 12 foot. I was like, cool, splash. Right. I just jumped in. And it's like I'm either gonna do it or I'm not gonna do it. Right. And so it's that kind of thing that, but there was a practice environment. I figured if I'm drowning, somebody could save me. So I didn't have to worry. Right.
He's
And
good.
so so it's that kind of stuff that again, we're just talking about getting comfortable with struggles, getting comfortable with hardness, hardships, and adversity. So that way, you don't get overtaken and that you can continue to survive in this life. Because there's many things in this world that are trying to take you out. It's just the
Yep.
nature of Earth.
Just
It
nature of
is
the world
what it
we
is.
live in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just is what it is. Thank you, Shanika. I don't know if you're still there, but we
Yes.
appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, it's all good. But anyway, just to recap where we are. If you all have had any struggles or anything that you've overcome, please let us know. Let us know some of the ways that you deal with opportunities, unexpected opportunities. How do you deal with unexpected opportunities? What kind of things do you do to basically cope? What kind of things do you do to overcome? And what kind of things do you do to get comfortable in chaotic situations?
Man, I was going to answer that question. I was going to say that, a couple of things that I do is number one, we always go back to Kev's favorite, good food. You got good food, you got a full stomach, and that helps sets you up for the best possible
That's real. That's real.
circumstances as far as getting through a struggle.
Ezekiel, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, what's up, Ezekiel? Yeah, get good food, number one. Number two is, like you said, placing yourself in simulation roles, like exercising, which is a simulation of real, work in the real world.
Literally.
In times past, I've placed myself in simulations, like as far as like doing jujitsu and practicing, dabbling in that area to get comfortable. Number three, best, coping practices like good sleep. You get good sleep, man. Life is a lot better when you get good sleep. Take a nap if you got to, whatever you got to do to get that in there. Rest and relaxation. Taking those breaks, going back to R&R, that helps you with struggle. You can't go 100 pedal to the metal all the time. So you got to learn how to take those pauses, take those breaks so that you don't break. That's something that I had to learn as far as, just take a rest. That way you don't, and come back again. That way you just don't quit. Even just thinking about last week, doing the exercise, instead of just struggling to get through the whole set, I had to set it down for a few minutes and then come back and finish a set versus just quitting and saying, I'm done.
Yep.
So yeah, taking those breaks.
Yeah, giving yourself grace as well, right? Just like saying, it's like, hey, he couldn't finish at that time, so he paused, gave himself a rest, and then got back in it, right? So that's definitely good. I'm just putting up some of the ways that some of these people,
praying
with different things. See, Michelle said, both of her kids had bone marrow transplants, which is huge.
Wow,
that's a huge undertaking. I'm sure she can speak on it way better than we can. So she's like wine, antidepressants, and friends. And again, I always put a heavy emphasis on friends and having the right friends. This is going back to the community. Cultivating the right community is so key, because all friends aren't good friends. And what I mean by that is some people, instead of making you better, they make you worse, right? And you need to identify those, especially as an adult. As a kid, sometimes you're in situations that you have no control over. You just have to deal with it, right? But as adults, you always have the opportunity to walk away, in most scenarios. And so take advantage of walking away from people that bring you down, especially when times get rough. When you're going through struggle, the worst thing you need is somebody that's going to be negative, somebody that's going to bring you down and just make the situation worse.
And what's a simple litmus test for that? For me, it's after I leave somebody's presence or they leave mine. It's like, man, I feel worse than when I. It's a simple litmus. They don't take no rocket science. Like, dang, man, I feel worse. Or there's people that you get around. It's like, man, I feel good. I feel inspired. I feel like, okay, it's bad, but hey, it's not. I got some relief.
Yeah.
So it's a simple litmus test.
Yeah, I have little tolerance for negative people. Like seriously, I can't deal with it, especially when things are going bad. Like if you're gonna if something negative comes out of your mouth at any time, I'm like, you gotta go. Like I'm just real about it. It's like I can't deal with you, and it's like I'm not. It's like because again, the thing like when you're going through hard times, you don't have time to work on somebody else getting them better to help you deal with it, right? It's just like look. Just stay away. Even if it's a relative, it's like, hey, just stay away until I get this worked out because I can't deal with that. And I don't care who it is. Like that's the kind of person I am. I don't care who you are. If you're bringing the wrong kind of energy to a situation, you gotta go. Um, let's see. Ms. Cheryl says, as I remember, the events that led up to struggling may not have happened over one event or short period. So be patient with yourself and have as you recover. And again, that's very key. Give yourself grace, uh, and just make sure that you allow yourself to recover properly, and don't be so harsh on yourself that you become the negative person you need to get rid of. Right?
Yeah, that inner critic.
Yeah, you got to be very careful with that because again, our psychology and our health is so tied together that if you start letting that stuff creep in, you can make yourself even exponentially worse just by the way you think. So you have to be careful of that. My wife, she gets on me when I speak negative things. And sometimes you don't even realize it. You don't even realize you're saying something that's negative. And so we do the same thing in our house. Like if we catch somebody saying something negative or speaking that stuff into the air and those kinds of things, we correct it immediately because we don't want that type of psychology to become to where we are that negative person, right? So you got to be very careful with that. And again, a good community will help point those things out for you, right? In our household is our community. Like Kevin's household, you got a community of boys that he has to correct and different things like that. So make sure that you get around people that care about you, that want to see the best for you, so they can help you correct those character flaws. That's
Yeah,
part of the struggle. Go ahead, bro.
I was listening to the Breakfast Club, and I think what's his name, Mahershala Ali. How you say his name?
Oh, Marshala.
Marshala.
Yeah, Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, he was just talking about how he was growing up, how his grandmother had instilled in him the importance of being conscious about the things that you speak and say,
Yeah.
and that how that can manifest itself in your life. He also talked about how writing, we've talked about this in times past, of writing like some of the things that you want to achieve in your life down and then keeping that. And he was talking about how he did that at one point in his life, and he wrote things down, kept it in his wallet, and then looked at it like years later and realized that he had achieved everything on that list. It's like, wow, just thinking about the importance of intention, and then also thinking about the importance of the words and the things that you say in that, if nobody else is listening, you're listening to you. You have to listen to your own thoughts and words. So you want to make sure.
Yeah, that's real talk. I was telling a friend, was telling about like my exploits in California and the goals and things that we had before going to California, and lo and behold, like we just wrote on the whiteboard. We didn't write it on paper. It was just like, okay, what do we want to do when we go here? Just write it on the board, and literally, I kid you not, we accomplished everything that was on that board. We just did. And one day we had it like we kept it with us. It was like our thing, but it was just like, okay, this is what we want. Wrote on the board. We come back, we can check it all off, right? And so that stuff is extremely important because again, and I got this from the guy, what's his name? Tom Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu, and he said, everything in life is chemistry. The chemicals in our skull. It's how we experience life in terms of our brain chemicals, brain, and the way we think. And so it's very important that we get that together, that we focus on our, self-improvement is brain improvement, right? Is mental improvement. And those things that help mental improvement is exercise. That helps your mental capacity. Just studying, reading, learning, how you deal with people, relationships, those things help your brain chemistry. All of that stuff, the way you eat, the kinds of foods that you eat. And so when you start trying to perfect those things and get better at those things, and that, not to say that you'll ever master it completely,
Right.
but the improvement is there. And again, for me, going back to community, the better you are for your community. And the better the community members are, the better we are for each other. And then the better we are to surrounding communities. Right. And so it's like the each one teach one kind of thing, kind of
Yeah.
methodology that I always think about with that. So anyway, go ahead, bro.
Well, that's all I got, man. I think, I think we reached a point that it's time for me to go. But yeah, we just
I gotta stay here, but I gotta go.
Yeah. We just want to come on and just have a conversation about getting comfortable with struggle and how important it is in today's world to really think about that and just given the set of circumstances that many of us may find ourselves in or may find ourselves in the future, it's definitely important that we get comfortable with learning how to struggle and just learning how to
sensitive mouse.
Learning how to just deal with and get through and overcome with different things in life. Not only just overcome, but also thrive. That we got, not only we just don't want to struggle, but we also want to thrive in life and just have, work and live in abundance too, as we reach our different levels in life. So we definitely appreciate you guys for coming on and contributing to the conversation. There is no us without you. So we definitely appreciate the time and the attention that you give and spend with us. And hopefully the return on your value, the return on your investment is worth your while. So we definitely appreciate that. And we definitely don't take that for granted. So hit like, share, leave a comment, and let us know what you think. Leif, you got anything you want to sign off with? Thanks, Yolanda.
Yeah, appreciate that, Yolanda. Appreciate that, Michelle. Appreciate that, Bomo. Yeah, I'll leave you guys with a quote from Floyd Money Mayweather. Hard work is easy work.
Hard work is easy work. All right, I guess I have to take that and meditate on it.
All right, everybody. Have a good evening. Peace.
All right. Peace.